Right, let's talk about the Christmas period, Patrick, because a lot of people, by your own standards, were thinking you and Dad were just going to go and farm the races, punt to get used to it. It didn't go exactly to plan, did it?
No, look, we've definitely had better Christmases. I'm not sure it was maybe as bad as it looked. I thought Lossiemouth maybe ran a bit below par, but she got beat by Constitution Hill. Ballyburn, I think, again, got beat by Sergino, but I'm fairly sure Kempton on 2 miles good ground doesn't see him at his best. Gaelic Warrior, good ground on Leopardstown. His first run took a blow. I thought he ran well. Stateman was the obvious one that was the big disappointment. Nothing majorly came to light, but he didn't go from after half mile. You could see Paul, if he was travelling, wouldn't have given him as much rope, but he wasn't. So, yeah, look, I know we had 10 horses in the Paddy Power Chase. A lot of them that we're going to find it difficult. So that skewed the stats a little bit, I think. And a few of the horses first time out, the likes of Redemption Day and Calix Debonair, blew up. So it could have been better, but I think we were happy enough that it wasn't the disaster that some might have thought it was.
No, indeed. And of course, as soon as it was over, you started banging them in left, right and centre again, including a treble at Punchestown yesterday, which we'll get to. Of course, though, Patrick, on Saturday, it's the Clarence House Chase, massive feature race for us here on the channel. Energumene coming over, and how is he?
That's the plan. He came out of the Hilly Way fantastic. Look, it'd be third time lucky. It hasn't been a particularly lucky race for Energumene. He hasn't won it. Obviously, he had that great battle with Shiskin. And then he had that great battle with his first time at the White Fences when it ran at Cheltenham. But it suits his programme well. He didn't want to go to Christmas having ran at the Hilly Way. And look, obviously, Banbridge franked the form in some sense. I mean, a 10 pounds off him. Obviously, he's a horse in good heart. I think Arafel is entitled to come on an awful lot from it. He is 11. It's going to be very hard to beat John Bond, who's pretty much in his prime. I imagine it is. But, he's fitting well and we'll give it a go.
Yeah, we're waiting for the decks to come out, obviously. We'll see what develops there. He'd be surprised if he wasn't very close to the top of the market. You say Banbridge franked the form handsomely, didn't he? He's been a brilliant horse. He's a public horse. Lots of people at Ascot would be willing him to get over the line. That's him. We wish you well with him. What about the weekend in the whole? Are you bringing some others over? We've got this great initiative, of course, part of the Winter Million, and there's some other big prizes on offer.
Yeah, it's a fantastic initiative. I think everyone deserves to be applauded for putting it together. There's some fantastic races, some great prize money. So we've got Gala Marceau could possibly go. She's in there. She's trying to make her seasonal reappearance. And Kitzbühel is also entered. So we'll see about him later in the week. But yeah, we've got an eye on the Sterling signs over there. So we might bring a couple more over.
Yeah, with a wry smile, and so you should have. And I reckon that's probably just hit every single yard in the country over here domestically as well, Patrick. Let's talk about Kargese, if you don't mind. Some names that have been coming my way, and I've had a little look. Of course, she's got that Sergino line of form, hasn't she? We see that she's being backed again for Cheltenham. We haven't seen her so far, however. She was a bit buzzy last year at times as well, wasn't she? You get the feeling if she settles, she could still be the real deal.
She has the form with Majborough and Sergino, and you could argue she was maybe unlucky not to beat both of them. As you say, if she settled, you'd have to think she would finish her races far more strongly. We've taken the same kind of route as Lossiemouth, just training her for the start of the season. She hasn't had any setbacks. She's been in all year, and we're going to get her out now, and probably one running on the Cheltenham. But she's a fine mare. I think she could be as good a mare as is around, yeah.
Yeah, OK. Well, I mean, if anyone's going to know about that, would we think been a DRF for that, Dublin, or maybe there's that race at Punchestown as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a couple of different options. Maybe the race at Punchestown might suit well, but we'll see what Willie thinks. But she's just, I know you hear all the time, she has grown and filled out. She's not your typical juvenile filly. She definitely could jump a fence in time, but I'd love to see brighter days ahead giving her a lead. Anyway, that'd set her, I'd say.
Yeah, I was a massive fan of hers last season, but it's that Sergino line and Majborough, as you say, that now makes her, top of the list that I've got to ask you about. All right, so basically, viewers out there, it's all good with Kargese. Work out for a sea of blue now. Let's talk about yesterday then, if you don't mind, at Punchestown, Patrick, a horse that is polarising opinions, maybe like none more so in recent years than Salvator Mundi. You knew this was coming. Got the job done yesterday in the Moscow Flyer, a race that you won with the likes of Min, of course, Getterbird, more recently, of course, Impera Pass. It's been a successful route in. How's he come out of it, first and foremost, and what did you make of the run?
Yeah, he's come out of the race fine. Look, he did everything wrong. He ran far too keen, and because of that, he didn't jump. So we're not worried that he doesn't jump well enough. It was a slowly run race. If Paul had let him jump, he was going to make ground in the air, make ground in the race, and get keener. So he had to keep taking him back and use the jumps to settle him. So we're not worried about his jumping. He makes life difficult for himself. Look, he wears a hood, he has a tongue strap, so he's not straightforward. You'd like to think if he got a good gallop, he would settle better. I mean, he ran the Triumph Hurdle last year and on his first run and ran well, considering it was quite soft ground and everything. So the engine, the ability is there, but he's going to have to learn how to race more efficiently.
Yeah, OK. Well, if he's going to learn with anyone, it's you guys. He's around about 4-1 best. Of course, lots of people talking about the second season novice with him as well. Of course, he ran in the Triumph. Then he went to Tipperary, absolutely hosed up. Has been done, of course. There was a lot of racing Twitter talking about what second season novices have done it. I remember that Fisher's Cross. You go back with the Supreme, All Loire, all those years ago. But Classical Dream was another one as well that people have seemed to have forgotten about. You've inherited this horse like you did him. He's got the experience, I guess.
Yeah, look, it's not. It's just the way it worked out. We couldn't get a run into him before the Triumph last year, so we did the same with Ilete Thomas. Ran him in the graded races at the end of the season and went novice hurdling then the next season. So it's not something you'd plan on doing, but it was just the way things worked out with him.
Yeah, OK, fair enough. Now, conscious that you're on the clock, Patrick, and you've got a big week ahead, horses to work, all that sort of stuff. So let's get into some others, can we? Of course, Galopin was a massive highlight of the Christmas period. Factifile was second as well. A lot of people are already mapping it out for you. It'll be, of course, Irish Gold Cup, for which he's now odds on again. Galopin, he reversed that form, but it's sort of ding-ding round two a little bit, isn't it? And Factifile, people are thinking go straight to the Ryanair. I've been doing this long enough with you, Patrick, not to try and get that information out of you, but I suppose that Factifile will go back to DRF as well?
So look, we'll have to have a chat with JP and see what he wants to do. He was very keen to take on Galopin in the saddles, and I think to me it's not quite as clear cut as the performance said. Like, to me, Factifile ran far too keenly and then made that mistake. I know the statistics were saying that he jumped better than Galopin Des Champs, I think, but I don't know. Sometimes those statistics don't quite add up to what you see. So for me, if Factifile could learn to settle, then the question will be raised again. And, he reminds me of how Galopin was as a novice. And what actually turned Galopin into a Gold Cup horse was the fall he got in Cheltenham. And that settled him and made him race more efficiently. So Galopin's going to have to learn. But there's no doubt at the moment the crown is on the king's head.
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, odds on across the board everywhere you look. Let's talk about some other names if you don't mind. I mentioned Kargese to you earlier on. I guess also in that sort of we've not seen it yet bracket is Maughreen, of course, who, again, still anti-post favourite for Cheltenham. How's she?
Maureen is good. We're very happy with her. We're hoping to get her out probably the end of this month, if not then early February. But she's schooled well. She looks great. So she's ready to rock very soon.
Yeah, great. OK, that's her. Let's whittle through them. It's great to see Lecky Watson back up again from his chasing performance at time before we lowered the colours of Slade Steel. A lot of people got on the back of Slade Steel then, but that was a gutsy performance yesterday. And again, that's in a race, the Grade 3, which has been won by Spillans Tower last year. We all saw what he did, Bob Ollinger, before he went, of course, and took on Galopin in that highly dramatic Turners, of course. What are the plans for him?
Yeah, Lecky Watson, look, Fences has made a man of him. He was always a horse that was quite keen and a little bit not switched on, and I think Fences has made him concentrate more and made him settle more. It means we can ride him. So I think we can step him up and trip now over Fences. Because there's more jumps in a chase race, it just gives him something to get back in his hocks and stop pulling. I'd like to see him when he gets up to 3 miles. He did jump a little to his left in Punchestown. Maybe he might be better going the other direction. He needs to get better when he's in tight. Every time Paul asked him, he jumped well. But when Paul left him alone, he got into the butt of them. He wasn't clever. So he's got to sharpen his jumping that way. So, he could possibly turn into a Brown Advisory horse. But there's also the Powers Gold Cup and Fairy House could be a possibility as well.
Yeah, we're seeing that, aren't we, of course, the removal of the turners, if you like. We saw a handstands win at Foss Lass. I'm sure you watched that in the rearranged Townsend at Foss Lass on Saturday for Ben Pauling. Could go straight to Aintree. Of course, now you're talking about Fairy House as well. Cheltenham's kind of opened that up a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that's right. I don't think there's even need for 3 novice hurdles. I think it was better when it was just a 2 and a 2.5. It's definitely more competitive racing. So I think, I think 2 novice chases is right, and probably 2 novice hurdles will be right as well. But look, Fairy House is very important. Sorry, it's the Willow Warm Gold Cup, not the Powers Gold Cup now. But there are other options. You don't always have to plan everything around Cheltenham. So there are other options to take as well.
On also, we will know, probably be going to Cheltenham. You obviously saw Serginho, and you've got a line there through Ballyburn. We kind of know about him. I'd like to talk about Majborough a bit more, if you don't mind. He was extremely impressive on his chasing debut. It almost seems like you're not wasting time going over fences with him. And that finishing split on the run-in, though the figures told the tale.
Yeah, but look, since he arrived in the yard, he's such a big, strong, powerful, good-moving horse for his age. He's always caught the eye. Now, those horses don't always go and do what you hope that they can, but he did last year. For him to win the Triumph with his size, I mean, he reminds me of Jack Adam. He's a lighter frame now. He's not as strong or as heavy as Jack Adam, but I think it was the right decision to go over fences and get moving with him, and his performance. You couldn't have asked for any more. So, even Fact 5 got beaten in his beginner's chase last year. This fella went and won it. It's not an easy thing to do to win first time out.
No, of course. And again, a lot of people thinking that the Arkle Trophy just belongs to Serginho, but I think this fellow has got his army of supporters as well. Let's quickly whittle through them. A Gaelic Warrior, of course, you rode, Patrick, at Christmas, and it looked to me over the 2 miles like Solness got the first run. Hard fit, we know all that. Did he have a little bit of a blow? A lot of people thinking he might have been looking for a bit of extra ground as well.
Look, he needed the run. When I landed over back at Fort last, you'd like to maybe give him an inch of rain and go forward at that stage, but I wasn't able to do that. I think Solness and JJ and Joseph rode a really clever race. They put their fitness to the test. But I think there's no doubt that Gaelic Warrior is best on heavy ground. The Arkle last year was heavy ground. When I won on him in Limerick was heavy ground. He's a heavy ground 2-miler, really. So I thought there was a lot of positives to take from it. He ran on really strongly to the line. He'll improve an awful lot from that, more so than most or any of our horses at Christmas. I think he'll come forward. So, Leopardstown doesn't see him at his best because it's quite a dry, draining track. But I still think if we get soft ground in Chapman Chase, you give John Bond plenty to think about.
Yeah, a lot of our old friends have been putting him up tips to wise as well. Talking about tips to wise, Patrick, look, no one's listening right now, OK? I want one out there. It was not escaping my attention that Jasmine Devoe hadn't made his bumper debut at this time last year. He went on and won the big one at the festival. Come on, there's a bumper horse you're looking forward to.
Yeah, look, it's not... I mean, Champagne Fever got beat at Christmas, one later in January. Fernie Hollow got beat in December at Christmas and then one later on in January. So... it's not the end of the world not to have one yet, but I'm hoping Green Splendor will improve from Christmas. I think he can. I think he's that kind of horse. And one I'm looking forward to getting on the next couple of weeks is a horse called Sar Fatal. He won a point earlier in the season, and we bought him off Pat Doyle. And he's a good-looking horse, and I'm hoping that maybe he can start getting us excited.